From here, correct? Yes, ma'am. All right. Good evening. We'll go ahead and get the public forum started this evening. First off, I want to introduce myself. My name is Leslie Hinkle, and I'm serving as the chairperson for the Bond Advisory Committee, and I'm very, very happy to see you in attendance tonight, and thank you for taking time to be here this evening. Tonight will be very, very informal. We're going to be having a staff presentation about potential bond projects and the difference between CO bonds and GO bonds and get you educated on that, and then talk about potential bond projects for the future. And then also tonight we do have a comment card. If you don't care to come to the podium to voice your concerns or your opinions or thoughts, you can leave this comment card at the table and staff will collect those. So we are limiting the comments tonight to 4 minutes, so please be advised of that. We want to hear from you, obviously, but please be aware that the comments are for 4 minutes. We have staff here this evening. We have the city manager, assistant city manager. We have our finance staff and our police chief and representatives and from the public. We're here, so we're so glad you're here. And also, I'd like to introduce Mr. James Yates. He's also a member of the Bond Advisory Committee, and he is here this evening as well. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Leslie. I'll be brief and introduce our finance director. She's going to give a brief presentation, and I think by looking at the crowd, this is a repeat for everybody, but we'll go over it again briefly and then open it up to the public. So Judith Tanglin, the city finance director.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. This is going to be a quick presentation, just why the reason we're here, and we're going to talk about some project surveys. So just waiting for the presentation to come up. There you go. So we're going to go through some background. On January 9, 2023, we have a special council workshop to seek citizens' input on future capital projects on bond issues. The City Council provided emotional direction to seek citizen input through a city's website. So on March 30, 2023, we have another special council workshop to to talk about the review of the citizen inputs of the city website. So we have a survey in the website for about a month, and then we were waiting for all the citizen input and all the bonds that we were thinking about doing. The city council appointed a bond committee after that, and in January, February time frame, we have a bond committee started the first meeting. We have met a couple of times, and on March 2024, the bond committee set a date of April 25, 2024, that is today, to hold a public forum on bond projects. These are the results for the survey that we have on the website in fiscal year 23, or last year around March. As you can see, we have 117 total respondents, and then the ones in orange, actually, those were already COs that we issue, and those projects already are done, or we already have funds for those projects. This is the same information, but in a graph form. The reason we are here today is to receive citizens' input on potential bond projects. Like Leslie said, you're going to have 4 minutes to come and talk about the projects you support or don't support. This is a QR code. If you look into it, we have a lot more information about the bonds. It's going to have some tax impact in there with some estimated numbers. Just remember that those numbers are not final, as they are just estimations that we did in 2023. And that's all I have for you guys, and I think it's Leslie's turn.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay. Yeah, and I want to give just a little bit of background. The last bond election that the city did was back in 2002. And there were 3 main projects that were on that bond that did pass. So it's been 20-something years since the city has gone for a bond election. And we all know that the city has more than doubled in size in those 20-something years. So I just want to give you that food for thought there. And then we'll go ahead and open up the public forum. And again, just remember that your comments are limited to those 4 minutes. So please feel free. We'll use this microphone that's directly in front of me for your comments.
I just have one question. I filled out one of those cards. I didn't know that was what it was for, but I just have, if you can please explain, if the GO bonds pass, how are these bonds, the GO and CO bonds, going to be paid for? Thank you.
Well, sure, that's short. It's property taxes. Is that what you're, is that, I mean, I don't want property taxes.
Guess I'm next. Okay, so mine's a little bit longer. So on the input, right, from the citizens, what was the total number of citizens that actually gave input onto the project? Out of the 66,000 registered voters, what is it, 1,000 people, 2,000 people? Had anybody come up and made any notice on that? And with a new city hall, is the idea that we're not going to do the replacement of the HVAC for this building, or the renovation for the police department, since we're going to tear it down and all this other stuff? So I'm just wondering how all those projects are going to come up. We're going to vote something in, but then we're going to also vote in to do repairs and renovations that aren't necessarily needed anymore because we're going with the new city hall, which I'm opposed to, but because a one-stop shop makes an easier target for terrorists. And we've already had that, you know, go on Fort Hood, and it's not a cool thing to witness. At the animal quarantine, will that be, is the idea to have that quarantine with a 24-hour person on hand, on staff? That was my only thing about that. how much more money is going to be added into the recreation center, even though that we're putting, I think it was $2.4 million for the roof and the renovations that's going on right now. So I'm just curious how much more or is that in addition or something? Money for the library. I know we know about what's going on national-wise with inappropriate books being given to children, you know, these types of things, and drag queen story hour and so forth. Is any of that money going to be provided for this nature of books for sexualizing children? And with the city already at $282 million in debt, and with a $1.1 million servicing charge from the bank, I don't know if that's annual, quarterly, or how we're paying that. I think it's annual. What's the rise of that? You know, how much more are we going to add to our debt and incur more taxes to be paid out? Because we're getting hit with 10% every year on our values of our houses, but the houses really don't cost that much money. You know, my house is now worth $116,000, but I bought it for $74,000. But I can't get anything, a cash offer, for more than $58,000. So I don't know how that equates, but you know, take more money out of my pocket, right? And if we've incurred $282 million in debt over 20 years and still haven't paid it back, this is going to add another $105 million for this project. So I'm looking at roughly with that 4.55% increase in my taxes on top of the 10% already. So just wondering how that's going to ever work out. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Oh, Price? Yes, ma'am. Sean? S-E-A-N? Yes. And I'm sorry, I should have put it on a little piece of paper. Well, I never get it, so I never expect it.
Just about everybody in this room knows who I am. With regard to the new city hall, okay, I don't view this as a necessary. All right, the comment was made that this building is over 100 years old. Okay, let me give you some comparisons. The Pentagon was completed in 1943. That building doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon and need an update. They're just going to renovate, expand, and do whatever there. The oldest building at Howard University in Washington, D.C. was completed in 1868. It is still in use today. It has been renovated, repurposed, still stands right now as the headquarters for the ROTC program. So it's not being used as a broom closet. It is a fully functional building. We go back even further, Carlisle Barracks, where a lot of council members have been sent to for symposiums, conferences, and training. Many of those buildings go back to the Revolutionary War. City Hall in the city of Rome, Italy, that building has been in constant use for 600 years. So to say that a building simply being old has absolutely nothing to do with it. I mean, if you invest money wisely, plan ahead, take care of what we have, which is a theme that I've said many times over, that covers the roads, the buildings, just about everything else. The example of Garland, Texas was used. Yes, they have a pretty impressive city hall. I know Garland like the back of my hand. I did a lot of work out of there. If you were to go look at a map from Roy Orr Boulevard, Trinity Boulevard, where those four corners come together, and you track all along from west to east on Trinity Boulevard, all the way out to South Beltline Road, what you will see is a whole host of businesses. You'll see a Cintas facility, a main facility, not a storefront. You will see Avert Express, UPS, a PACCAR plant. Just in about 4 miles of road, there's more businesses on that, companies that will hire to retire. There are more businesses on one 4-mile stretch in Grand Prairie, sinus headache today. Grand Prairie. There's more businesses on one 4-mile stretch of road in Grand Prairie that fit that description that exist in the entire city of Killeen. So their city hall is a reflection of their success, financially, economically, socially. If you were to look at They have the commercial sector that's not too far from the city hall. You've got the Walmarts, the Whataburgers, all the retail, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have the business, manufacturing, shipping. Not far across the border over into Garland from Grand Prairie, they have a rail yard. Not too far up the road from that, you've got Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. People coming and going all the time. Go a little further north, you've got Hazlitt, a major intermodal facility, truck to train and vice versa. We have an interstate. We have 2 airports. We have a rail going right through the center of town. We are not taking advantage of that. Temple and soon Copper's Cove, as I understand, is talking about taking advantage of everything that we are not. We're set up for success. We have the veins and the arteries to do it, and we are absolutely not doing it. I don't know how much time I have left, but okay. But I'm just saying, if I know the city of Grand Prairie a lot better than just looking at the city hall. They are set up better for success. I think we need to take advantage of and develop ourselves economically before we use that as, hey, look at us grown up. The same could be said for the Round Rock, Georgetown area.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I've got several questions, about 8 of them. Are we still in the survey mode? Yes, no, maybe? All right, how about the PowerPoint slide that was shown to the city council? Is that going to be available to everybody or just the city council? There's about 45 PowerPoint slides. Crickets, silence. Okay, I'm curious about the other bond members. Were they invited since they're not here tonight? Anybody? Anybody? Did the city council and mayor provide their input already for the new city council, the new library, and the new teen center? Nothing? Which district will the new library and the new teen center go in? You know, District 1, 2, 3, or 4? How about the city hall parking? They mentioned there's going to be about, I think, 465 parking spaces. Is that minus the emergency vehicles, the VIP parking, the police, the judges, the constables, the government vehicles, the DAV members, the city council, the mayor, and handicap spots? Number 7, the general public will be able to view the PowerPoint slides. Is that going to be after it's finalized next month or August, or when will they have access to that? As mentioned before, forest protection. Forest protection, we're going to put 16 departments in one building. What happens if there's a power outage? What happens if the water outage? All those 16 departments will now be without water, without power. Thank you very much.
And with that, I guess that only leaves one. But if you don't mind, I'm going to turn around so I can look at you when I talk. To answer a question that was asked earlier, a couple questions. All of this can be found on the city's website under the finance page, where it lists potential bond projects, including the total number of respondents on the survey that was done. So it's accessible to everyone in the public. I do appreciate the fact that the city has been very transparent throughout this process in making sure that we all have access to the information. And it is quite easy to find. I'd like to point out, while I understand and respect that we have not had a bond election since 2002, the city has continuously issued debt and has issued CO bonds. So the only difference is the voters have not had a say in whether or not we enter into that debt. It has been entirely a city council decision. If you go out to the north side of the building, there's actually a little dedication marker. Colleen's First Brick School on the site stood Colleen's First Brick School, a Richardson Romanesque building constructed in 1902 to 1903. Facing the Killeen Railroad, Colleen's Links to the World. The building was destroyed by fire on March 15, 1923, replaced by the present Avenue D School to the south. Forming the base for this marker are the foundation stones and charred bricks from the 1902-1903 school, which demonstrated in its size and design the town's vision of its future. And so I think that that's important to understand, is that this building remains and that placard remains because it was the design for the city's future. To move away from it, I think, is moving away from where we started. And while change is necessary, I don't know that building a 2-block City Hall is necessary at this point. By my calculations, besides the $66 million in potential GO bonds, there would add at 2.13 cents per $100 valuation. There would also be somewhere between 12 and $14 million that comes out of the TERS fund. And then if it is decided to use the CAC as the new substation, we would have, CAC being the Killeen Arts and Activity Center, we would then have to renovate that and pay the cost of those renovations, which I have not seen any estimates for those. I've asked before what would happen with the vacant buildings once, if approved, once everyone moves. I think it would help to reassure citizens if we knew there was a solid plan for that, and that any funds we get from selling those buildings would go straight back into paying off any debt, reducing the amount of long-term interest that we would have to pay on them. As far as the recreation center and teen center, city just gave a lot of money to the Boys and Girls Club. They just opened a new teen center both in Killeen and in Harker Heights. And in speaking with the Boys and Girls Club, they have maybe 12 teenagers that use their teen centers on a regular basis. So between the M&O cost, the cost of building it and staffing it, and then the fact that we would be in direct competition with a nonprofit in our neighborhood and community we should be partnering with, perhaps the city could partner with them instead of coming out of pocket for the new teen center and rec center. And then with the library, we do have an MOU with CTC and I believe A&M in order to utilize their libraries. So those are both in the southwest sector of the city. I think that would also be a really great use. And I know I'm probably pressing it on time, so if I could just add that $65 million in new park development, but that is more than all of the fire stations put together. And I think that those fire stations should take priority over everything else because health and safety of the people should be our first concern. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Nash King, and I am speaking as a resident of the city of Killeen. I live in District 2, and my council representative is Councilmember Solomon. There are some things that I think that should be added into this list, which is a great list. As you move forward from veterans going to the north side on Lake Road, if there is a library, I think a library is much needed in that area. And it's also needed for a teen center. Because right now, as we continue to focus on Rosa Herford Community Center / multi-generational youth center, you have to have transportation to get over there from Lake Road. We're talking about all the way down on Rancier. Yes, you do have a park, but some days when it's hot outside, they want to go inside and enjoy the comfort. And you can connect that library with a teen center. It can be one, the same way we're doing Rosa Herford and the senior center. That is important to me. Also, infrastructure. I mean, I understand that a $10 fee has been put in place, but to keep up with our infrastructures, we continue to go backwards to fix what was not completed correctly. And as we continue to grow out, infrastructure is also important. And as our city continues to grow outward, we're going to have to think about public safety. And I'm speaking for a resident perspective. And I go through the city a lot. And we need more firefighters. We need more police officers. And I know the first responders do take up majority of our budget. But in order to keep our city safe, we have to have the equipment, we have to have the resource, we have to have the facilities. City Hall. I believe every city needs a city hall like every city needs a downtown. And I think as we move forward, this building is a historical building. But I think it should go on the ballot, the city hall, because the people, it should be the will of the people if we build a new city hall or not. So if we're going to do a bond, only thing I highly recommend to this committee, as a resident of the city of Killeen, that once you do a bond, anything that we need, it should all be together. And I know some may say, I, Debbie, resident of Killeen, I am more apt to come out and vote for what the first responders need, what our youth need, and what our senior need, than just coming and voting on one item. Thank you.
Good afternoon or evening. I brought with me a potential bond projects that we had from a couple years ago. And this is about an investment in our city. And our city would benefit from having a downtown city hall. And I believe that the police department should probably be separate from the city hall and the municipal court. It would actually bring a lot of investment into downtown, and a lot of businesses would be benefited by having this downtown. And this is about an investment in our community. And we've been working on the comprehensive plan for the city of Killeen for quite some time now. And I believe that it is a fantastic investment for our community. Thank you.
Well, I think everybody got 4 minutes, so I mean, if you use 20 seconds if you want to, I mean, I don't think it matters. Yeah. Okay, well, Mr. Gukheisen, did you want to say something else? We're informal here, I mean. Okay, well, I think everybody that's here, yes, sir.
Just working through this headache that I have. With regard to that rail yard that I was referencing, it's actually at Arlington, adjacent just to the west. So, I mean, I have been there. I know what I'm talking about. It just, when you're up, if you're familiar with the Metroplex, the towns kind of blend together, as does the entire loop up there. But with contrast and compare, also the fact that Grand Prairie sits in between I-20 and I-30 as well. So they've got two corridors, plus George Bush Turnpike, and the rail system. I'm just saying that comparatively speaking, we have all of those ingredients, and I've said it for years. We're not taking advantage, especially the railroad, which is what made Killeen happen to begin with. And somehow along the way, that just fell off the rails, no pun intended. I mean, we're not taking advantage of that which put Killeen here as an entity.
My question is on seconds. We're putting this piece of land, the city hall, in a 2-block radius. First question is, if there's an emergency, people will funnel out of that building. They're going to funnel out into traffic. There's no space on the side for people to go to. Second thing is, when you're funneling people out in traffic, that goes back to force protection. There's no protection for those folks. So think about that when you're building your structure.
Okay, I think everybody that is here has had the opportunity to comment, so appreciate everybody coming out, and we'll end it there. Thank you very much.